I finished Berserk and I needed something new to go to, so I scoured through Reddit looking for books, manga, to go ahead and fill that void in my heart of what was 35 years of someone's creation. The author passed away, and then it's still not concluded yet. And I have no idea if the manga is even concluded by that time I reach 60 or 50 or whatever. And I was looking for something shorter, some one shot, something that I can just kind of sit in one sitting, read it through and get a good story. And the manga Look Back by Tatsuki Fujimoto, he's the same guy who made Chainsaw Man, popped up. And I decided, oh, why not? Let's go for it. So I downloaded that, put it in my backlog. And I also went ahead and got Goodbye Eerie, which that's also another one shot, which I'll get to here in a little bit. And yeah, Look Back, it took me by surprise. So one shots, it's really difficult to perhaps get you hooked, get the story through that they want to tell you, and then have, the nice conclusion where you have some takeaway. And I didn't do any background look in any of this. I didn't even fully know if this is the guy who, did Chainsaw Man until part ways through it, and I did a little search like, oh, I like the art style a little bit, what we're getting right here. And yeah, it took me by surprise that the same guy who made, once again, Chainsaw Man, made a nice coming of age, slice of life, drama. These are the genre of what this story is, Look Back. And it hooked me, and it gets you really it hits you in the emotions, and you don't know where it's going to be going. You don't know, the steps it's going to take. But you take it along the way as the author intends. And by the end of the book, I was just left like that pang in the heart. It's like, I want more, but you can't get more. Like I want a different ending. Excuse me, phone. I want a different ending. I want something to come and make this all better, but you can't make it better. And yeah, if you want a good recommendation, this is something you should watch, something you should read. Sorry, and just go through it. You won't regret it. So the plot follows a friendship between two girls in a small town who are both passionate about drawing manga, exploring their rivalry, personal challenges, and artistic growth. So yeah, the two main characters in this is going to be a girl named Fujino, and she's kind of she's more outgoing than the other person, which is Kyomoto, who is more reclusive. They're at a middle school or high school. I think it's a middle school. They're they're younger, they're kids, and they have a manga board for the school bulletin where they make stories or whatever, a four panel little thing. And yeah, Fujino, she started doing it, and she gets all these comments from her classmates that are like, oh, you're so good, you're so funny, I love it, I look forward to it. And then this other guy randomly pops up, and his name's Kyomoto, like I told you, and he's the recluse, and he actually doesn't even go to school, like in the building. And you come to find out that he has such a strong paranoia of social interactions that he is unable to just handle the pressure and anxiety that comes with being in a classroom, and the potential humiliation or whatever has it. It's like basically a disability for him. And he sends in his 4 panels, and he doesn't have like a story he's trying to tell, but he has artistic backgrounds. And I was kind of like looking at it, and it is like masterclass manga, I guess you could think of. Just these backgrounds are really well done. And I don't know, it's silly to say this, but I feel like a lot of emotion just looking at like, man, there is a lot of character in there, a lot of soul. And the ones that Fujina does, the other girl who's more outgoing, she just, art's not really there. She's trying, it's kind of like, oh yeah, something I can see a kid making, teenager making. And ends up eventually where Kyomoto gets more of the praise than Fujino, and she gets a little jealous. And I think one day, if I remember correctly, I just read it, she decides, oh, I'm gonna give up on art. And before she does that, she really like full on pours everything into it, because she wanted to prove to class that she's better than Kyomoto. And she was kind of like just doing this on the side for fun, and then she just eventually shut everyone else out, and she decided to lock herself in her room, buy books, buy whatever resources she can to learn how to draw. And she just ended up not being able to fully reach the level of what Kyomoto was doing and the praise of her peers. So she ended up being like, I'm done, I'm not gonna do anymore. And fast forward, the last day of school, she gets picked on by the teacher to go deliver Kyomoto's college graduation diploma. That's what it is, not degree, diploma. And she didn't want to do it because this is like her rival in her mind. This is the person that she has been fully against because this person is better than her. And yeah, she ends up being forced to go do it, kind of. And when she goes and gives it to her Kyomoto, she writes a little manga 4-panel, flies under the door, and she's kind of making fun of him. And she leaves without even meeting the other person because he doesn't come out. He's shut in. And I apologize. I probably should see if they even have like their genders fully announced. I know that Fujino is a girl from what I've gathered so far, but Kyomoto kind of, their character looks a little bit more confusing to me because I don't know if it's a girl or if it's a guy. I apologize. But he comes out and it turns out that Kyomoto is a big fan of Fujino's panels. So much so to where like he can recall the dates, the specific titles of them, and like what it says, which it's 4 panels, but I think this is going on either weekly or, you know, it is weekly, not daily. It won't make too much sense, but weekly. And over the course of 2, 4, however many years they were doing this, that's a lot of weeks to remember. And he ends up wanting her autograph. And Kyomoto says, "Here, sign my back," because there's any paper or anything like that. So he hands it to her and she signs the back of her sweatshirt. And that kind of reinvigorated Fujino's desire to do art. And this is when they kind of get a bond of friendship kind of coming together. And one of them decides to go ahead and join a manga competition, and they decide to work together for it. Kyomoto will do the backgrounds while Fujino does more of the story and the characters. And they end up winning, I think, like 3rd place or whatever in this. It's a big deal. They earn 100,000 yen. And yes, they won 1 million yen. And the story that they decided to make in the book was called Metal Parade. And it did really well. And you end up starting to see some of Fujino's character kind of pop in. She ends up basically telling Kyomoto, you know, "You're nothing without me. You can't do this." After Kyomoto expresses desire to go to college to refine his craft, his skill of art, and Fujino she's basically trying to guilt trip and manipulate the situation as best she can, even though all throughout the series we see that Fujino is not the one who has the artistic, like, natural born gift. She's kind of just like floating by and she's getting really lucky, and Kyomoto is the talent. But I don't want to downplay any of that because they are good friends. They are they're both valuable as a team, and I think they just work good together. They click, and you kind of feel proud for Kyomoto because through this friendship with Fujino, she was able to draw. She was able to get out of her room. She was able to actually begin to express herself. She was able to become a person that's not just a shut-in. And her pushing back against Fujino's remarks of saying, "You'll never be anything. You can't do anything without me. You will never become anything." And she decides, "No, I'm going to do it. I will learn. I will grow. I will adapt. I will become better." And she actually goes through and does it. That is kind of a turn that I didn't fully see actually happening, because usually in these stories in real life, you know, you get that manipulative person in there when they get that deep relationship with someone who's kind of the submissive friend or whatever. You don't usually see something big come out of them from themselves. Usually a event has to happen to where that person breaks free from that leech, and due to outside circumstances, they're forced to then make a decision, either by themselves or with family and loved ones, to basically get rid of that person. And she did it by herself, and they still were friends, but I think, as the story implies, they kind of ended up not staying in close contact. And you see Fujino, she continues on. She ends up getting a job at a firm making manga, or whatever they call it, studio, and she's doing really well with her manga, and she has like a nice art studio kind of room. And you see Fujimoto, she's going to school, or they're going to school, and they're doing really well. And the plot twist that you end up getting is there is a axe murder that came to the school, and Fujimoto loses her life to the murderer. And you see it on the TV, and Fujino gets a call, and she gets a call from her mom calling her, and then she ends up calling places to see the school, and she goes over there, and you see that she has, for a fact, passed away. And kind of the reality of, hey, you have to accept this, and maybe if you were a little more pushy, or maybe if you stepped back and didn't have that rivalry, or maybe if you never did the manga, if you never got into art to begin with, you know, all these different things you end up questioning in your life, where it's like, what if I changed and the butterfly effect hadn't spiraled down to this path? What if it would have spiraled down another path? This person would be alive right now. I'd have, you know, potentially I'd still have them as a friend, or maybe I would never meet them at all, but they'd still be in that room drawing their art, cut off from the world, but still living in another form of media that would go on forever. And now their life is stopped, and what they have written is all it's ever going to be. The story is closed. And he ends up splitting from that, and they show another scene where I guess they were like able to fight off the attacker, and they were fine. And I don't know if that was them trying to cope with the actual loss or what exactly was going on at the ending. I think that was a delusion, trying to cope and deal with the fact that I just lost one of my best friends in the whole world, and I couldn't do anything about it. And she ends up continuing the art, continue going on, but it hits different. I guess they call it the what if scenario. And it's where Fujino, never encouraged her friend to draw. Her friend would have lived. And Fujino would pursue athletics instead of art, and never actually meet Kyomoto, but then eventually she'd develop an interest in art and go to school and attend the university that she was. And since she was in athletics, she'd be able to defend off the attacker, and everyone would still be alive. And that is the what if scenario. And in the end, she sees a torn comic strip from Kyomoto, and it's where Fujino saves Kyomoto, and they were celebrating the manga, celebrating her work, and she admired Fujino. And regardless of what happens, regardless of everything, she was still in love with her friend, supportive, and wanted her to continue and just do her best. And once again, she continues to go and make art and continue on. And that's it. That's the end. That's what you're left with. And it just feels like a total bombshell. Just wow. And I needed that complete story that I can kind of go through. And I read this like maybe an hour and a half to read. It is a short little one shot, but it's so powerful. It's so poignant. It's so artistically good. And it explores these topics, these complex things that make you feel and imagine and believe. And you can be there. You can see yourself trying to come to terms with another timeline that can never happen. You can never change what happened, but you want to, and you just have to accept it. So it's really good. If you haven't read it, you should read it. Unless you can't handle it, be warned. If you heard all this, then you can't handle that. Maybe don't do it. But you won't regret going through this roller coaster of emotions, and I think it will lead you down a path of maturity if you allow yourself to dwell on these things and come to accept it, like our main character has to. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that out there, and I will be making a video on Goodbye Eerie soon. It'll probably just be me talking again, but hey, why not? So yeah, until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.